Welcome to Nona's Here. I'm Nona. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. Today is third Thursday Thrift Flips, and I have 2 flips to show you. But before I do, I have a little favor to ask you, and it won't cost you a penny, completely free. I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. I am trying really hard to hit 500 subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate it if you would do so today. You just have to hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. It's completely free, and you would help me hit my 500 subscribers. Okay, so today is third Thursday Thrift Flips. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. But let me get over to my craft table and show you my first flip. All right, so let's get started with DIY number 1. So at the thrift store, I found these coasters in this nice wooden holder. I paid $4, got them at the beginning of this year. I thought these coasters were rather ugly. The holder did have some bumps on it, but I'll take care of that in just a minute. I cleaned off the coasters first, and I'll show you where the holder had some bumps on them. No deep scratches, just some bumps. I paid $4 for the holder and the 4 coasters. And then I'm going to use this real pretty light green chalk paint to paint the coasters. And I'm going to use a satin Mod Podge to decoupage the napkins on. I'm going to use a sponge brush for the to put the Mod Podge on. I got these dinner napkins at Dollar Tree. They're quite heavy, only 2 ply, so I only used, of course, the top layer. They had these real pretty flowers on them on each corner, and I only used one of the napkins. So after I cleaned them, they have cork bottoms, but some of the cork bottoms were stained and torn, so I'm going to replace those cork bottoms in just a minute. So I first painted, after I cleaned them, I painted each coaster, the tops and the sides, with the green chalk paint, and then I put a light coat of decoupage on them, and I tore each corner of the napkin off, and I used the satin Mod Podge with my foam brush to put on each corner of the napkin on each coaster. Now I have to tell you, the first layer I put on, these came out just terrible. I mean, it was really sad. They were not going on nicely. It was really sad. It was really bad. I couldn't get them to go on nice and neatly and straight. It was just, I thought it was going to be a total fail. This was the 3rd one I was doing. I was just working with it, and they were just crinkling up. So finally I decided just to go with it. Instead of trying to brush on the Mod Podge, I just used the tip of my foam brush and dipped it into the Mod Podge and just dabbed it on. I decided to go with that. It was looking terrible. But the more they dried, the better they looked, believe it or not. So I just dipped and dabbed. That's all I did. And as they dried, they did start to look better. And then I went around the edges and let the napkin fold down over the edges and just dipped and dabbed down over the edges. So I just did that all around. So now I'm replacing the cork bottoms with self-adhesive cork, a sheet of cork that I had gotten from Dollar Tree. And the old cork came off real easily. It was really old and kind of crumbly. So each coaster got a new bottom with fresh cork. So after I did that, then I let the Mod Podge dry really well. Like I had done 3 coats of dabbing. And after it had dried really well, I tore off the excess napkin. And then I took my little X-Acto knife. You can see it there as I'm tearing off the old cork. And I put the coasters on a piece of cardboard. And I went around each coaster using that little X-Acto box cutter knife. And I trimmed away the excess napkin to get a real clean edge, okay? So here I'm doing another layer of Mod Podge to make sure the edges are down real tight. By now I've trimmed off the edges really well and really tight, and just dabbing and dabbing again to make sure everything's down nice and tight. And every coaster has a new cork bottom now, you can see. All right, so I let that dry really, really, really well. And then I took acrylic sealer and I gave it, now I'm gonna fix the holder that has those bumps on it. And I used Old English furniture polish for covering scratches and a Q-tip. And I just went over the whole thing with the Q-tip and the Old English furniture scratch cover polish. And it really came out looking like brand new. I was real happy with it. I got in all the little crevices. All right, so now I guess I'm doing one more layer of Mod Podge because I don't want those ends to lift up. And thank goodness I had painted it with the light green chalk paint, because where the napkin didn't fold all the way down over the edges, you couldn't tell because the paint blended perfectly with the napkin. So it just all came together. All right, so then after that, it all dried thoroughly. Look how nice that came out. See that? Came out really nicely. You can't tell that there were any bumps or bruises on it. So I did 2 good coats of the acrylic sealer, and then I was finished. And I tried to make each coaster have a different pattern of the flowers so that they're all unique. I think they came out really pretty. So then I put them back into the, I did take my sanding block and just gently, gently, gently sanded them off. Look how pretty those edges came off. They came off just really nicely. And you can't tell if the napkin didn't touch it, didn't fold down real neatly, because see, it doesn't look bad at all. As terrible as it started out, it doesn't look badly at all. So I was pleased with it. I'm glad I stuck with it. There's the clear acrylic coating that I did 2 coats on of it over the top. Then I put them back in the little holder, and that's the end of this flip. I was pretty happy with it when it was all done. I'm going to put a ribbon around it and put it in my church box. It'll go to the church for shut-ins and people who are home recovering from surgery. They have an outreach committee that visits people. And there you go. There's the 4 coasters. And here they are in their little wooden holder. See how nice that holder looks? It looks like it's brand new. Okay. Okay, so what did you think about that? Pretty easy, right? Okay. Now before I show you my second flip, and there come the Blue Angels. Okay. Before I show you my second flip, I want to tell you about our hosts today. The first one is Elizabeth from Rustic Chick. Wait a minute, let me get this right. Elizabeth from Rustic Chick Design. And Tammy from the Rusted Willow. And co-host Cindy from Z9 Designs. I really want to thank them for allowing me to join in today. I'll be sure and link their channels down below in the description box. You'll want to check out their channels, and they'll have the major playlist, the main playlist of all the creators who are joining in today. You'll want to check out the other crafters because you'll get some great ideas for things to flip. Okay, now, if you've been liking my videos so far, why don't you give me a thumbs up to say that you like it? I'd appreciate that too. All right, back to my craft table so I can show you DIY number 2, my second flip. 2. This is actually a flip of my flips. I had gotten this urn a long time ago at the thrift store. I painted it black, and then I used some gold on it where the highlights were, but now I'm going to flip it again. I had put a round mirror on it and put a Santa Claus on it at Christmas time, and I decided it was time to do something else with it. So first I painted it with plaster chalk paint, because you know, we crafters, we paint it and then we paint it again, and then we use a sanding block and take off the paint that we painted it with over the paint that we started with. So that's what I'm doing. I'm covering it with the white plaster, not a complete coverage, but just a little bit of a coverage. So this is a flip of my flip. And then I'm going to take my sanding block, and I'm going to take off the plaster that I just put on. I'm going to sand it down so it looks like an old urn. My vision here is to make it look like something that you would find in an Italian woman's garden. So this is what it looks like. And then I stuck a piece of styrofoam in there. And now I'm going to take some of these. Okay, so I took moss, and I stuck moss in the top, coming down, and moss at the bottom, coming up. So that's the north side of my urn, because moss grows on the northern hemisphere on the north side, because moss likes it to be shady and moist. In the southern hemisphere, it grows on the south side of trees and walls, because that's where it's shady and moist. And moss can grow up and moss can grow down, and it spreads to wherever it's shady and it's a lot of moisture. That's your science lesson for today. So I stuck these plants in, and I can't remember the name of them, but I had them hanging in my plant stash, and I decided to use them. And I just used kind of neutral colors of yellow and beige. And then I had some onion grass, and I stuck those in the back as filler. And there you go. Doesn't it look like something you would see in a garden just growing wild? That was my vision. So I thought it came out pretty nice, and I'm real happy with it. Well, that's it. Thanks again to Elizabeth from Rusted Chick Design, Tammy from the Rusted Willow, and co-host Cindy from Z9 Designs. I hope you enjoyed my video, and remember, give me a thumbs up if you did, and I sure would like a comment down below. Hope to see you next time at Nona's Here. Bye.